a start. Let me just share my screen. Okay. See, screen one, go live. All right, that's me. All right, so can you see Jordan's
Yeah.
screen? Yep. Okay. Jordan sent this in a couple of days ago, and I think this was the reference that he nominated. So I just took a quick look at this, and it's definitely off to a Jordan. You're off to a good start if you're tuning in later on. It's a lot going on in the scene. Obviously, you've got this sort of ancient temple in the caves, and light streaming through, and there's a good separation between foreground and background with the amount of light. So obviously you're focused in on the building, and the contrast that you get from the light hitting the edge of the building works really well. My comments would be, let me see, let me just take a look. Okay, dodge. I would probably maybe try bring up, let's see, this tree here feels like it's it's probably going too much into darkness, and I'm wondering whether you could maybe bring it up a little bit. This is not working too well with the cave in the background also being lifted, but it feels like it just needs some more value in there. The other thing I feel that kind of catches my eye is the saturation of these sort of pink floral elements, here and here. I feel like there's just too much saturation, and you could probably bring down the saturation of those elements there, and probably the overall image feels a little bit too saturated, given that we're looking quite a bit into the distance, and with that, naturally things will become more desaturated, and with the kind of haze color being sort of white, it'd probably that would sort of affect the saturation as well. So my suggestion would be maybe to look at these elements here going down, taking them down in the saturation quite a bit, and maybe overall I would give it a desat. I'm guessing this is your reference. It's got the same, I mean, it feels like you're kind of in the right ballpark with, focusing the light on the background building there, and, having that figure on the horse draw the eye to the opening in the building. Wondering whether there's an opportunity for you to sort of do the same thing here with a foreground figure. Maybe something like that there, or there to sort of focus in the eye to this building here. But it looks like you're doing, you're on the right track there. Alrighty, okay. So next up, we've got Apex goes down with the toucan. I think I forgot what kind of bird this is. Anyway, so this was your original image and an update. And I see that you've taken off that reddish flare elements, and it looks like it's a lot clearer reading of the image, and there's been a composition change, which feels nicer. Sorry, that's my wife in the background there. If you hear someone laughing, yeah. So this framing feels really nice now, with toucan quite, on sort of the thirds, and you've got the sun. I see you've got the sun lifted and sort of cranked away from camera. Just before, I see that it was pretty much behind camera. And I think in lighting in general, that's a sort of a scenario we kind of want to avoid it most of the time, just because we lose a lot of shaping on our character when we light from the front or with the light behind camera. What we want is to, like you've done here, is to kind of swing it to the side a little bit, and as you can see immediately, you can get more reading of the the shaping of the beak and the feathers. I'm wondering whether it could go down, exposed down a little bit more, just so you don't have as much of the highlights blown up. What else? I'm wondering whether you'd want to swing the light a little bit further around, and maybe a little bit more to the side and less frontal, and see what you get. It may be that you'll be able to edge a bit more shaping out of the feathers, and you'll be able to read. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, if you could knock this down, swing the light around, further this way, and perhaps something like that. You get maybe highlight on the beak there, and then maybe that side of the bird's body would be lit, and then this side would be a little bit darker, just so we get a little bit more shape there. And underneath the beak, you can read that that shaping on the beak a bit more. Yeah, but definitely a big improvement from the last iteration. And this is also from Apex, goes down, and this is some character lighting. See that this is the latest version that you've got, where I guess you've adjusted the lights somewhat, and I feel that perhaps you want to revisit the color or the hue of the key lights, that soft key hitting the character on screen, right? Because it feels a little bit too red. maybe you want to swing it more towards green and let's see, green, maybe a little bit less red. So maybe some more yellows. Perhaps a little bit brighter in that key too. The rim lights feels a little bit warm compared to this reference. But this reference is a bit more neutral. So maybe you could cool down, cool down these highlights here. I just do a quick desat. This is way too way too much, but I think you get the idea. And this core area, this core area here could probably go darker. I see that you're wrestling with the key light. The key highlight. This is your area lines, and the reference has. Looks like we've got maybe two lights hitting her from. Behind camera or screen right. Maybe you could pull away from, get this light here a little bit further away so that it's not reading as big. This point here looks fine as it's on the other side, but yeah, maybe this one can, you can bring this light back a little bit so that it doesn't read as big. I don't know whether you've got light linking or you're using light linking, but I guess another cheat you could do is, get like a little light to kind of reflect around there, but just link to the eyeball. That way you can kind of cheat one in. Alrighty, let's see what else. I feel like the light could probably go a little bit further down and perhaps hitting him more like here from below, because I'm feeling that in the reference you can see that we do get this nice little triangle of shadow there. gets a nice shaping of the face. And if you look here, it feels like the light's probably more up here. So if you could try and maybe get a bit more shadow in this area here, so that we can read a little bit more shaping. Okay. Sorry, that's way too much. But I think you get the idea. Yep. But yeah, definitely on the right track there. Next we have Thaker with an update on lighting two characters in a library, and the reference is quite an illustrative style in its representation of the figures. So it's I think you can be a little bit liberal with how you sort of use the lights to shape them, because you know, they're using sort of a 2D style method of illuminating the characters. And I see that you've had a go at refining the image with a top light there, and I feel like, let's see, we've got another light that's hitting them from top, and I feel that, like you said, it's probably it's probably a little bit too much on top there. You could probably bring that back. But I like the way you've readjusted the key so that it's no longer hitting the neck and chin at the same time, and that sort of confused the reading, because it felt like the chin was being sort of elongated. And I see now that you've kind of moved that light and swung it further away from camera, we get a better reading of that area, the separation of the neck and the chin. So that's working really well. And see that you've got some light coming around and hitting her cheek on this side. I know that in the reference we don't have it, but there is, there's an alluding of the fact that there is maybe a little bit of light coming through from that side, so I don't mind that at all. So let's go ahead and maybe just going to go. Let's see, so this is halfway turning down that top light. I'm feeling like you could probably go three quarters back to where it was in terms of the top the top light illumination. But I feel like it does help the reading. Okay. And let's see what else. Yeah, and I guess from maybe some, post effects of getting that glow, you're pretty much there, I would say. Let's see. So this is super rough, but something like that. And if you want to maybe take a look at, these books in the foreground here, they're quite saturated, and the eye is naturally drawn to saturation. Maybe consider perhaps doing it, maybe a desat on the books, so that the focus goes away from the books and gets drawn more towards the two characters. And you see that in the reference, they're a bit desaturated as well. This is exaggerated, but I think you get the idea. Otherwise, yeah, it's looking really, really nice. Well done. All right, so that's probably all the ones that I need to address at the moment. Do you have anything to add, Andre?
No, I think actually, I have one question about the first one, Jordan.
Yes.
Um, in I mean, granted, it's different in the reference because the reference is a much closer shot of the building. But
Yes.
on the reference, you have kind of like the light shining on the entrance, right? And that's like the point of interest.
Yes.
And then on his image, um, you have the biggest, the shiniest light on the dome of the building.
Mm.
Would it be more interesting to have it in the end?
Yeah, definitely. I think that I guess if you have, um, it would make sense if you had a character that um, is looking
Yeah.
towards perhaps entering the entrance. If Jordan put in a character here, then that immediately adds tension into the scene because we have,
Mhm.
um, you know, uh, we start to uh, ask, well, are they going to enter? And at that point, definitely, um, I think it's worthwhile shifting that focus towards illuminating more of the entrance there for sure. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, good
Oh,
point. Yep. Um, yep. Okay. All right. So, guess that's it. Um, that's probably it for this week because we don't have anyone else um, wanting to show their work. But I'll be on again same time next Saturday, EST. I because it's winter over here, we don't have daylight saving, so I miscalculated the time because during the summer, um, 5 p.m. EST is actually 9 a.m. Melbourne time, but in July, it's actually 7 a.m. in the morning. So that's why when you saw me, like everything was really dark. It's basically because the sun hadn't
Yeah.
come up yet. But it's all good. I think I'll keep the 5 p.m. slot. Otherwise, you know, it'll be hard for people to kind of tune in.
Cool.
But
Thank you. Thank you very much.
all right, thanks for tuning in, Andre, and
Bye.
I hope to see you next week.
Yes, definitely.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Bye now.